meteorologist Chase Jones.
Well, despite some of that cold weather we saw earlier, then some of that short week weather we saw, and then of course we're dealing with the sort of beginning of the new year. It's been a slow start, and I think next week we're finally going to put in a full week, and we could see a little bit of rain by next week, but we're taking the opportunity during this slow, quiet period to sort of track this freezing air. Now, you've seen a lot of these snowstorms pushing off towards the east here in the Concho Valley. We haven't seen anything, maybe a little bit of ice earlier in the month, but still relatively dry. You saw the drought monitor. Now, temperatures over the last 24 hours, pretty impressive heating, going from those mid, if not those lower 20s, all the way up into those mid 50s. So a good 30-degree run by tomorrow, still holding on to the 50s, but as the system sort of continues to re-energize, we have the possibility for some prolonged rain shower. Now, sort of in the spring, we saw a couple of weeks there where we saw a lot of rain shower activity, looking like the same sort of pattern is pushing its way back as the end of January is already here. 55 in San Angelo, everybody else in a combination of those mid to lower 50s across the entire region. Shades of green, but purple and blue are still out there. 52 in Sterling City, 57 down there in Junction, 5 degrees across the entire Concho Valley, if not 6 if you're counting there from Ozona all the way to Junction, but pretty close together, even though those humidity values are going up in sort of value, I guess, really percentages. You see those dew points still down there in those single digits, unless you're looking off towards the southeast, where we are trying to get a good idea of these lower areas and the moisture they are holding on to while the humidity indices are in those teens. Now, a lot of this dry weather is going to continue to persist as we keep our eye on the upper level pattern. Moisture trackers showing you completely stable conditions across the entire United States. Now, we saw tons of cold weather advisories and alerts sort of at the beginning of this week, again aiding to that cold start, but we're on the lookout for some of this instability to make its way in by the weekend, and by next week we could be all the way into those 60s with a good opportunity for some rain, looking like about 50%. Upper level pattern is to blame for some of this cold air as it starts to make its way out of the area. We have our eye on the ridge, and keep your eye around the panhandle. See how this cutoff low will deepen. Somewhere more coastal, more overland, it's going to push a lot more moisture into the Concho Valley, give it more time to heat up. You see how it's around the Four Corners earlier in the year, if not last year. That's where we have our eye on some of those warmer temperatures, so I think that transition season is making its way back, so we could be definitely on the warm-up. Looking at the water vapor imagery, there's our instability making its way down from the north, really just cold air, and then again we're keeping our eye on how much these cutoff lows push moisture around the Sierra Madres, make their way into the Concho Valley. Then it just seems to get a whole lot worse as it makes its way out east. Of course, we take it down to the surface right now where we're still holding on to some of those cold weather alerts around those coastal regions, while more cold air is sliding in around Wyoming. Tons of alerts going on in that region, but it's pretty normal weather. Now, I am from Wyoming, so every day is a beautiful day when you're talking down here in the Concho Valley. You look at the future cast, we're just keeping on to that dry air. Again, thank goodness the San Angelo, if not the Concho Valley bubble, is pushing things around us, but you see waves of winter weather making its way down the Rocky Mountains and that moisture pulling itself in by the weekend. So tonight, dropping back down below freezing. If you have to go outside, please bundle up. Then tomorrow, sort of in those 50s, but it's going to go right back down to those freezing levels as we get closer to the weekend. We're pushing up into those 60s, and then we have our eye on those short wave troughs that will cool us off as we get closer towards the middle of the week, the last week of January, pushing up into those 60s with a good opportunity for some light rain shower activity while we finally push up from those overnight freezing levels into those 40s. Stay tuned. I'm on the break. You're watching KSAN News at 5.